Hello everyone, welcome to the NPAT 2024 analysis. Now, based on the feedback received from the mentors who have taken the NPAT test, let's see how was NPAT 2024 test. Now, let us see what is the NPAT test structure. As we know, there are three standard sections. The first section is quantitative reasoning, which has 40 questions. The next section is logical reasoning, again 40 questions. And the third section is verbal reasoning, which again has 40 questions. So the total number of questions in the NPAT test is 120 and the time limit is 100 minutes. Now, few important things to remember. Order of sections. This year, NPAT 2024, the order of the section was fixed. By default, the first section was quantitative reasoning, followed by logical reasoning, and the third section was verbal reasoning. Now, it is very important to understand that you cannot navigate the entire 120 questions when the paper starts with quantitative reasoning. So, for example, once the paper starts with quantitative reasoning, if you want to go from the quantitative reasoning section to the logical reasoning section, the student needs to submit the quantitative reasoning and then he would be allowed to go to the next section. Once the logical reasoning section starts, he can navigate 1 to 80 questions, 40 of quantitative reasoning as well as 40 of logical reasoning. And if the student now wants to move from logical reasoning to the verbal reasoning section, he will have to submit the logical reasoning section. And now he can navigate through the entire 120 questions. One more important thing, there is no negative marking. You get +1 for every correct answer. Hence, students should not leave any single question. But it is very important to focus more on the genuine attempts. Then, no sectional time limit. We can use the amount of time that we need for a particular section, and very important, calculators are not at all allowed. Now, let us see what is the suggested time limit for each of the three sections. Ideal recommendation is for quantitative reasoning section, you should not be spending more than 35 minutes. Now, if a particular student is not really great at quantitative reasoning, he should be spending around 25 to 30 minutes max. But based on the level of difficulty, student, if he is able to spend around 35 minutes, he will be able to touch around 25 to 28 questions. Then for the logical reasoning section, which is the scoring for majority of the students, you can spend around 40 to 45 minutes. And for verbal reasoning, a time limit of around 25 minutes is good enough. So that is how you should bifurcate all your 100 minutes. Now, some of the topics which are very important from the quantitative reasoning point of view are as follows. Based on the feedback received, in the quantitative reasoning section, set theory had around 3 to 4 questions, which is generally asked in majority of the NPAT slots. Trigo, one of the favorite topic for NPAT, you get around 4 to 5 questions, but in few of the slots, it might go as high as 6 to 8 questions as well. Then probability, 2 simple straightforward questions. There was one question on geometry, and that was also based on heights and distance. Then there were 2 to 3 questions on functions, which may go 4 to 5 questions in other slots possible. Sequence and series, which is APGP, 3 questions. All the questions were on arithmetic progression. Arithmetic had questions on time, speed, distance, time and work, profit and loss, ratio, proportion. Then numbers, 3 to 4 questions. So NPAT will definitely test you on board mass based questions. Data comparison, quantity A is bigger or B is bigger or equal, and all the questions on quantitative comparison were based on algebra. DI, there were 2 sets, 4 questions each, so total there were 8 questions. Statistics, there were a couple of questions. Now, talking about the level of difficulty, we would say that the level of difficulty for this particular section was easy to moderate. So, if you are very clear on your basics, targeting around 25 to 28 questions would not be a major challenge. Let's see the next section, which was logical reasoning. So, visual reasoning, there were 5 questions which were based on complete the series, find the odd man out. There were questions based on what is the top view, what is the side view. Then data sufficiency, there were around 5 to 6 questions covering all the quant major topics. Then syllogisms, one of the favorite topic. Definitely you do see around 5 to 6 questions from this particular topic. Set theory, 3 to 4 questions. coding, just a single question on coding. Family tree, again a single question. This time there was a set on matrix arrangement, not a difficult looking set. Around in 5 minutes, it was easily possible to crack the set. Then verbal reasoning was, majority of the questions were from statement, assumption, inference, course of action. So there were around 12 to 15 questions. Again, talking about the level of difficulty, the level of difficulty was easy to moderate. One can easily touch around 32 to 35 questions on the higher side. Then talking about the verbal reasoning section, RCs, there were around 12 questions, para jumbles 5 questions, then there were 8 questions on para completion. Then this time synonyms and antonyms, there were no direct questions, but it was in the form of a sentence based, meaning based questions. Then filling the blanks, around 5 questions, and spot the error, again 5 questions. English was predominantly very easy across all the 3 sections. One can easily touch around 36 to 38 questions on the higher side. Now, talking about the good attempts, so based on the level of difficulty for all the 3 sections, we recommend that in quantitative reasoning section, it is possible to touch around 26 to 28 questions on the higher side. Predominantly, it will majorly depend upon how comfortable you are with the topics across all the math section. Then reasoning section, it was possible to touch around 32 to 34 questions on the higher side, and in English, you can easily touch around 34 to 36 questions. Now, overall NPAT 24, the level of difficulty we would say was easy to moderate. Then the overall score should be around 75 plus. So if a student is targeting BBA Mumbai campus, then he should be targeting a score of around 74 and above. However, if you're targeting a course like BSc Finance or BSc in Economics, your target score should be around 77 and above. Then this should be a section-wide target. Quant, we should be targeting to score around 20 minimum marks, around 28 marks in the logical reasoning section, and around 32 to 33 marks in the verbal reasoning section. Overall strategy for NPAT 24, maximize the strength areas. Lot of students say that we are not great in maths, so we have to focus more on logical reasoning and verbal reasoning so that you can maximize your overall score in the NPAT. Score at least 50% in the weak section. We cannot clear the NPAT cutoff or the overall score of 75 marks without quant. So if you are not great in quant, we should be at least targeting to score around 20 marks out of 40 in the quant section. Then we should at least plan to take minimum 2 NPAT attempts or all the 3 NPAT attempts. And finally, write at least 3 to 4 NPAT mocks before you go to the final NPAT test. Wishing you guys all the best. Thank you.